Hello everyone, today is Friday, July 19th, I believe, and it's been about a week since I gave an update on the garden, and even then I was just kind of like a tomato update, but I'll try to get everything in today quickly to not drag it out, and also hit on my tomatoes, which is what I'm very impressed with so far. There's a lot of stuff in the garden that I'm just kind of letting go. Excuse me, I don't have the time or the resources or really anything to help with some of this stuff. I got some garlic here. It's growing. The garlic this year didn't grow half as good as it did last year, even the first few weeks of it being in the ground. The onions are doing quite well. I have a bunch of them. You can see down there, they're starting to bulb up. All of them are starting to bulb up. So I think I'll have a good onion crop. I mean, I'll see maybe next year I'll have to space them a little bit farther. These ones here are spaced maybe about 8 inches apart. But, you know, as you can see, they're starting to bulb up. From what I understand, they start bulbing up based on the day change. And since we just passed the longest day of the year, the summer solstice, back in the end of June, the days are getting shorter. But anyway, my eggplant are doing quite well. There's no flowers yet. They're very short and stubby. I don't know if I'll get anything from them. The peppers, the same thing. Last year, the peppers didn't really grow well and hard to put anything on. My hot peppers, I have some Hungarian wax down the row, and I have some, I'll walk down there, some cayennes. They're actually producing right now, but the other pepper plants, they're growing. I mean, they're this tall, about 18 inches, but there's no buds, there's no flowers, there's no nothing. Like, this is a nice looking pepper plant, but again, nothing. The ones that are producing are down here, the cayennes, which are here, and then I have some, I think they're the Hungarian wax. Where are we at here? Don't make me a liar here. I do. Here they are. The Hungarian wax or banana pepper. Look how small the plants are. There's quite a few on these ones, but they're very small. I don't understand why I can't grow peppers here. I don't know. But anyway, as you're walking down, you can see my tomatoes. You see some lines up here. You see some extra staking. You see some zip ties. I'll cover that in a minute. Skipping down past the tomatoes is a row of snap peas, sugar snap peas. They're starting to climb up. Again, the weeds are trying to do it with it. The weeds at this point are too big to pull out because you'll end up pulling the roots of the plant. But I am trying to cut in between here and just try to do best I can. The pole beans, they're doing a lot better than I would have thought they would have. Based on how they looked a few weeks ago. But as you can see here, they're starting to climb up the trellis quite well. They're starting to actually weigh this down a bit. You can see how it sags, so I'm happy about that. Over here, the cucumbers. I planted a lot of extra cucumbers, but this whole stretch, there are no cucumbers. None came up. I don't understand why. For some reason, the cucumbers that I grow seem to take forever to get started. The ones down there, I mean, they're looking half decent, but they should have looked that way a month ago. And they're just taking their sweet time, but I do have quite a few hills you know, as you go down through, and I'm hoping they're going to latch onto this trellis. I think next year I'm going to have to make it a point to start the majority of my cucumbers inside. We're down here to the corn patch. Again, there's 6 rows, roughly 90 to 100 feet tall, but I'm just trying to think what these weeds are. You see them there. That's what takes over everything here. That's what will take over the paddocks if it's not kept mowed, or the horses aren't in it, and I don't understand it. But anyway, I really don't want to spray either, so next year I'm going to have to think it through a little bit more, see how I can plant to try to reduce that. I do have a couple interesting things coming up to talk about, which I'll do that in videos to come, as far as a greenhouse and different growing operations. Anyway, down here, this row here, this looks a little bit better. This is my squash. I got some vining squash here, winter squash, and then the ones with the variegated leaves, that's not disease, that's the type of zucchini. And I have a couple hills of that, and all these are ones that are grown from seed right here, transplanted after I dug them up, got rid of the weeds, put this grass down just the other day. You know, these are starting to grow, but I mean, these should have looked like this a month ago. They're taking their sweet time. Slide right over here to this row. These are pumpkins. And as you can see, they're doing quite well. Again, they should be a lot bigger this time around, or this time of the year. But they're starting to put buds on. There's no flowers yet. They're starting to vine. I'm confident that I'll get a good, decent, you know, a pumpkin and gourd crop out of this. I got 4 rows of corn. You can see where the rows are. They're doing quite well. They're doing a lot better, you know, as far as how old they are versus the one that are in the main garden. I just hope to get a few ears. That's all I want, is to have at least one lunch where I can have some sweet corn. Anyway, let's head up to the tomatoes, because that's what I'm really proud of this year in the garden. Some of these tomatoes are a little worse for wear. We had a big storm come through here today, pretty much just as I finished putting these ropes up. Basically what I did is put some T-posts in every, I don't know, 20 foot, 25 foot, what have you. And basically what I want to do is get a line through here and zip tie all my cages to it. That way they can't blow over too much in the wind. I come through here every day and put the branches up through the cages. I mean, these are small cages. These are 30-inch cages, probably 8 inches in the ground. So you're at what, 22, 24 inches sticking up. Not very big, but I never had tomato plants this big before. And again, you look at these and say, oh, they're not big, but if you look at my last video from about a week ago, the size of the tomatoes, the tomato plants versus now, there's definitely a difference. I mean, there's no sun out here right now to kind of emphasize how they're growing. But I mean, if you look at some of these here, you know, there's flower buds everywhere. All these have flower. A lot of them blew off today because of the storm. I'm not trying to use that as an excuse, but that's just a fact of what happened. But you know, some of these are getting upwards of more than 3 feet tall. Tons of clusters on there. And there's quite a few that are putting on tomatoes. I don't know if you can see down in there. There's some tomatoes on that one. So no, it may not look like much to excuse me, to the tomato experts, but I'm overly impressed with how these have grown based on the short time frame they've been in the ground. The weather that we've been having the past few days, past week actually, it's been upwards of 90 degrees, 100% humidity, just dry, ridiculous. Today we had a downpour. We had about a half-inch of rain in about 10 minutes, which that's not the way you want to get the rain, but it still helped in any case. But I mean, if you look at some of these, there's a cluster here, cluster. There's some over there, like, and these plants, they're not even really that big yet. I'd love to see some plants, you know, 4 foot tall, 5 foot tall, which is what I'm doing with the additional yellow rope. What I'm going to be doing is stringing it up these T-posts, and then as these get bigger, I'll get either some tomato clips or even just use twine. I have tons of baling twine, and kind of like as these are growing, pull them towards this to try to keep them growing up instead of having them fold over. I mean, I don't know if the spacing of these posts are probably too far apart, but you know, anything is better than nothing. And I'll know next year to maybe invest in some bigger cages. But I mean, look at the size of this. I mean, it may not look good. It may not look big from where you guys are, but there's a whole pile of stems in there. Everything's real green. And I mean, I think this year's garden to me is going to be focused on tomatoes. One of my big goals, I guess I'll talk about that to wrap up the video, is to pull. I have some little seedlings in here. I have raspberries. I have some larger-ish trees around 4 or 5 foot. The goal is to rip all that out, not to get rid of it, but just rip it, pull it out, put it in containers, move it, what have you, and put up a 16 foot, either 12 foot or 16 foot by maybe 70, 75, 80 foot greenhouse. You know, roll up sides, you know, wooden ends with, you know, doors, windows, etc. Not to be heated through the winter. I know down in Virginia, Bobby, he heats his up with wood and actually grows through the winter. For me, the winters up here are way too cold to even try to attempt something like that, and there really is no benefit for me personally. If I'd have a warmer climate, I definitely would probably think about doing something like that. But up here, you know, I have maybe 5 months of growing, and that's it. And then it gets cold, and you have to get your snow shovel out. So anyway, that's a little bit of a hint at what I'm hoping to be able to put if I can get the funds together. I'd love to put a greenhouse in here, proper, you know, putting some good shade cloth down, and then inside what I'll do is I probably won't get into hydroponics just because that takes a fairly large investment. However, I do have poly pipe, I do have drip lines, I do have fittings, I do have all that stuff already here. But I think my main goal is do some indeterminate tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, maybe some corn, you know, onions, carrots, things that I can plant in boxes, make some boxes, and the rest I'm planting either in containers or in grow bags. I think that's the way to go. That's the wave of the future from what I've been looking at as far as really being able to control the nutrients you give your crops and everything. So, and plus you can use potting soil. You can make up your own mix of potting soil and peat moss and mulch, and you know, you can make up whatever type of mix you want, but it'll be sterile. You will have very little weeds, which to me the weeds are the biggest thing. Anyway, I know this has been long-winded, but that's the update on the garden. Please give me your thoughts. You know, if you like what you see, what things I can improve on. Please don't really, you know, you don't have to mention about the weeds, because I know there are weeds here, but I'm trying my best along with taking care of the farm. I guess I'll try and do a pan over. I just put this together. This is a 200 foot by 100 foot outdoor riding ring. I cut all that grass the other day, got it looking real nice. There's a run-in shed down there if you can see it. That's 16 foot by 10 foot. I built that completely by myself in a few weeks. You know, odds and ends, we're putting in another paddock. We got new paddocks here, we got new horses coming in, we got orchards here. So needless to say, my time can't be focused in the garden. However, that's not my excuse of everything, but I think next year the goal would be to kind of scale it back a little bit and even cut back on the variety of things. Grow, you know, onions, peppers, things that I actually eat, things that my family eats, and things that I can and put away. And you know, there you go. So anyway, thanks for watching. If you watched through this whole thing, I thank you. It's been a bit long-winded, but I haven't had an update in a while, and I wanted to update you guys. So hopefully you liked what you saw, and thanks for watching.